Hey, Spencer Sutton here with Evernest, and I'm back for part 4 of the ultimate guide to renting your home. So it's one thing to have a home that is rent ready, and this is what we discussed in the last part where we talked about fixing up your property, making sure the carpets are clean, the walls are clean, but it's another thing to actually market the home and market it well. And there could be a lot of competition in the market, just depending on when you're marketing your property. I will tell you that probably the most popular time to market your property to rent is somewhere in those summer months. It's kind of when people are moving and getting ready for schools. But truthfully, we market and we rent properties all year round. So some of the slower times, if you can avoid it, I would say avoid trying to put your house on the market maybe between Thanksgiving and New Year's. Tends to be pretty slow period of time. But again, we still rent houses during that time, so it's not unheard of that you can rent properties. And I will tell you that like marketing and showing the property is probably some of the most time-consuming activity that you'll have when you rent your property besides getting it ready. It's just going out there, depending on if you're still living in the house, if you're living out of town, however you need to do it, but going and actually showing the property takes a lot of time and a lot of patience, and you have to answer a lot of questions. So I'm just going to give you some tips and just to help you kind of navigate through this very, very important aspect of renting your home. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get it on the popular websites, right? So you're going to want to get it on Zillow, you're going to want to get it on Trulia, you're going to want to get it in, I'm just trying to think, Zumper or Facebook Marketplace as a place to rent. And it used to be that you would put something in the newspaper. I wouldn't worry about that too much. I probably wouldn't put anything on Craigslist, honestly, but I would also put a sign in the yard. Now, this may, just kind of depends on how your neighbors feel about you having a rental house, but you probably have maybe even already discussed it with them or maybe not, but putting a sign in the yard a lot of times will attract people who already live in your neighborhood to refer it to their friends who they want to be closer to them. So that's a great way to do it. So sign in the yard, and then really some popular websites is how you initially want to get your property out there. Now, you don't just like throw pictures up. You want to make sure you're taking good pictures of this property. Now, if you have an iPhone, I think that's good enough. These don't need to be like quality of photos that you would see when somebody is selling a luxury house with all the beautiful lighting and all of that stuff. Yeah, I would say you want to take it in landscape mode. So you don't want to take it in portrait up and down. You want to take it in landscape mode. You do want to make sure that the lighting is good. So if you can take pictures of the outside and it's a sunny day, that helps. I never liked to market properties when it's been raining outside or when it's dark and dreary. But I always waited until the sun was out and it got some good light on the property. Also, it allows you to open windows or open blinds and shades and get light inside the house. Avoid taking dark pictures. Hopefully you know what a good picture is and what isn't a good picture. So what are people most concerned about? Well, they're most concerned about the kitchen and the bathroom and then the living areas. And so you want to make sure you take really good pictures of those. You want to make sure that, again, they're well lit up and that people can see everything. And then in your description, what I would suggest you do, since you're a homeowner and you're listing this property, I would really describe the area and the neighborhood. Like you have the ability to do that. That's something that we necessarily don't have the ability to do because we manage thousands upon houses, so we can't know the neighborhood like you know the neighborhood. And so you might want to describe some things. Hey, there's a park that's 2 blocks away that we usually took our kids to, or whatever the case is. Just, I would say, make it as inviting and make it sound as good as possible, right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to year it was built, any kind of important information about it. You want to put the school systems. You would want to put anything that you think would help sell somebody on wanting to come see it, because all you're trying to do is you're trying to get somebody to pick up that phone and call you to schedule an appointment. Now, you can decide how you schedule your appointments. You can have people call you or text you. You can have them go to a Calendly link to schedule something on your calendar when you have time. There's a number of ways that you can do this now. But the important part is that you want to be available, because as I've mentioned before, this is like somebody renting their home. It typically happens very quickly. It's not like a buyer who's looking at a house to purchase and move into. They take a much longer time, but somebody renting a home is doing it relatively quickly, and so you need to be prepared to show that property. If you're not available one week, they could go rent another property very fast, and you would miss out on potentially a very, very strong candidate. So be available. Some tips that I have when you're actually showing the property is I would want to let the people in. I wouldn't want to crowd them, let them walk through the property. Maybe you stay in one area of the property just to answer any kind of questions that they may have. Some other things that I would make sure you do is make sure that all the mail has been stopped to the house if you haven't done that already, and that there's not mail piled up anywhere. There's no if you get the newspaper, there's no newspapers scattered all over the lawn. Make sure the trash is picked up. Again, make sure that the grass is cut. If there's any kind of rotten wood or peeling paint on the house, I would have had that taken care of beforehand. You, again, want to have really nice curb appeal, and you want it to look inviting when somebody comes to the property to rent it out. The last piece of advice I would give you is that showing is selling. So when you are marketing your property and somebody comes to take a look at it, what you really want them to do, you want to convert them to an application. That's what you're hoping to do. Because the applications, you need a certain number of applications before you can actually find the right resident. And so your whole idea is just to get them to fill out an application. Now, you may have an application fee because it is going to cost you something to process this information. Maybe you charge $50, I don't know what it is per application, but any adult who's living in the home, you want them to fill out an application. Not just one person, any adult living in the house. You're going to want to do a background check on all of the adults that are living in the house. And so come prepared with an application and ask them if they want to fill out that application. This is something that you really, really need to do. And then at the end of it all, tactfully ask them for feedback on the property. Even if they don't fill out an application, hearing their feedback will be very beneficial to you, because there may be something that you need to tweak or you need to fix so that it's not a detraction from somebody else coming and see the house. So they may tell you something like, well, the bathrooms aren't very clean. It's just like, or the house is dirty, or I don't like the way that this looks, or something simple. If there's something that you can actually change about the property, then you would want to know that, and that would be some great feedback. So you want to convert them to an application, but if they don't apply, you most definitely want to solicit some feedback and use that for the next person that comes to take a look at the house. So this is all about marketing. You can do this. Again, it is time consuming if you're having to show the house over and over and over again, but it is a numbers game. So the more people you show, the more applications you're going to get, and you're going to find the right resident for you. All right, we'll be back with part 5 of the Ultimate Guide to Renting Your Home.